Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Teardown Sessions. I am your host from Crowd Supply, Helen Leigh, and today we are talking to the creators of FlippyDrive. Very exciting. But before I bring them on, I'm going to share with you for the next couple of minutes a couple of other things that we have got going on. So crowdfunding now, obviously, you know, there's FlippyDrive going. We also have, this just launched, Joey Castillo's Sensor Watch Pro, which is a hack for the iconic Casio watch. You take the circuit board outside of the normal Casio watch and insert Joey's special circuit board, and it becomes a very special thing indeed. We've got a software-defined oscilloscope here from Alexa or Thunderscope. This is really cool. I've got one of these in the office at the moment. It's an e-ink typewriter. If you are interested in e-ink, there's so much cool stuff going on in e-ink sphere right now, of which one of this is one. Also just launched is Kevin Capuccio's Jumperless. This was so fun at Teardown this year. Everybody loved this workshop. It's a great computer-defined breadboard, which you can do all sorts of interesting things with. So you should definitely take a look of that as well. So those are just a taste of some of the fun things. We've got crowdfunding now on Crowd Supply. I will bring you back in to Chris and Trevor shortly. I just want to explain how we have how we're doing our giveaway today. So we've got two giveaways. We've got two Flippy Drives, which will be sent out in advance of the crowdfunding campaign. So Chris and Trevor will send those out. So that's very exciting. So we've got two. Basically, the way we do this is I've got two timestamps chosen, and if you leave a good comment or question at closest to the timestamps that have been chosen in the next hour, then you will win one of the two Flippy Drive that Chris and Trevor is about to give away. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on the Flippy Drive team. Here we go. Let's bring on Chris and Trevor. Oh wait, I muted you by accident, Chris. There we go. Would you like to introduce yourself to the lovely people at home who are waiting for you?
Chris, please go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I was going to anyway. Yeah, I'm Chris. I guess my background and role in all of this is hardware design, and then some like embedded software stuff. I mean, I guess for the personal story, I'm sure this is a familiar story. I grew up playing the GameCube, like a lot of people. I really enjoyed it, and I kind of put it down for a really long time and went off to do my own things in life, and then only realized later that, you know, it's actually kind of a really cool computer if you treat it like a machine. It's a cool platform. It's a neat system. And it's like, wouldn't it be neat to apply some of these just random hacking skills to a console I grew up playing and make it do new things? So it's very much a kind of, well, what if we, I don't know, made a disk drive emulator or like, so it's kind of how this all started, was just a little bit of a, I want to do something fun with a platform that I grew up using.
And how about you, Trevor? How did you come into this?
Yeah, I've been doing software for a really long time, but as a kid, like a lot of people, during those formative years, I kind of obsessed over that one game system. Happened to be the GameCube, which was such a fun system. So many special little gems. It's got some special games, but I remember obsessing about what if this thing could do more? What if I could go into that door that's always closed? What if I can, etc. So it's got a soft spot for me, like a lot of other people.
And is this your first project together, or have you done things separately as well?
I guess the first one of this scale. I mean, we've done some like little hacky things together, which this was just going to be another hacky thing. Like, I don't know. I never expected this to really go where it did.
I was going to say, people have really responded to it.
So honestly, I would have thought like, oh, you know, a few hundred. Like that would have been my honest guess. It's like, how many people are really that interested in the GameCube? I mean, everybody always talks about it like, oh, it's the least popular platform of the generation. And so it's just like, I don't know. I was like, I want to make this thing because I want to make this thing. And I know Trevor was really into it. And it's like, you know, maybe a few hundred people will find it fun.
Yeah.
So it's been very surprising.
Yeah. So let's take a step backwards here for the people who are joining us. Can you tell us what FlippyDrive is and what it does?
Sure, Trevor.
Sure. FlippyDrive is an optical drive emulator, which is sort of a class of device that pretends to be a source of data for what would originally have been expected, which in this case is an optical drive, right? A lot of these systems had that as their main source of information for game data. So what this does is it essentially pretends to be exactly that. And when the system is asking, hey, I'm going to read this part of the disk, it just says, sure, and instead hands it something from the SD card.
Okay, cool. And so you're making a device for old technology. This is what, like 20 something years old, right?
Okay.
But you're using a new chip, right? You're using the RP2040 and the ESP32. How do you approach getting it up and running? Is there a lot of reverse engineering that you're doing here? Did a lot of the firmware already exist? Is there a lot of communities? How did you approach this retro tech project using new technologies?
So the disk drive and everything else, like you said, was created about 20 some years ago. The design's a little bit older than that because it took them a few years to get it to market. I guess how this started and how previous versions of this typically work is with a device called an FPGA, which is like a high-speed digital device that you can create arbitrary logic to perform any behavior you want. I mean, you can create CPUs with them, you can create digital interfaces, digital radios. So kind of with the GameCube, I mean, the nice thing is now cheap multi-channel logic analyzers exist. So you can kind of hook up to all of the signals simultaneously on the drive and just watch the disk drive work. And that kind of tells you almost everything you need to know. It's a very simple interface. It's just until recently, it would have been kind of a more expensive exercise to create a emulator for it. When we started out, it was like, let's make a disk drive emulator. It wasn't, let's make a super low cost disk drive emulator. And it just turned out that, well, it looks like the RP2040 might be able to do it. It's kind of on the edge of its capabilities. That's like 68 cents in bulk kind of thing. So it's like, it's funny because the ESP32 is much more expensive than the RP2040.
Well, it's got a lot more functionality.
Yeah, it's amusing that like everything on that board is more expensive than the RP2040, and yet the RP2040 is doing the high speed part, like the part that's traditionally most expensive.
I was going to ask why you chose the RP2040. I don't want to delve too much into the technical weeds here, but I'm curious to hear your decision here. I'm also making a project using the RP2040 for context, and I'm always why did you choose this?
Yeah, so I mean, to be completely honest, it's a popular chip, and we knew that like people would get really excited if we use the RP2040.
It does have some recognition just from the name.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and part of it was to explore some of these projects where it's like, okay, people have made DVI video interfaces with the PIO. So that got me thinking there's probably some
you're
serious...
using the PIO. Oh, interesting.
Oh yeah,
heavily.
we are not only are
how is that going for you?
Oh, it's fine. We found one hardware bug in the PIO that had been previously unreported, which is fun.
Good for you.
We stepped on 3 hardware bugs in the RP2040, which is 3 more than most projects.
It really is. Congratulations.
I'm not going to make any comments about that. But
PIO is very good for doing.
Let's hold our tongues about that, shall we?
RP2040 is perfect. Anyway, so the PIO, we're using 7 of the 8 state machines in both PIO. I mean, we are really using
wild. That's wild.
It's quite good for doing one thing at a time, and we have to do about 5 things at a time.
Yeah, the problem. So that's right. We're doing both PIO like primary systems. The 2 blocks, I guess, are doing separate tasks. One block is primarily doing disk interface. The other block is primarily shoveling data back and forth with the ESP. But then the GameCube, in the infinite wisdom of the designers, has a separate, like almost CD audio style, like independent audio system that has to happen simultaneously regardless of what you're doing. So a lot of mods just skip that. Like they just don't support it.
And if they skip that, what's the result of them skipping?
The result is usually like Swiss, which is a very popular software framework and game loading and patching system for the GameCube, does just incredibly clever things to emulate the behavior of the audio streaming from
and
the disc.
interleave the audio as though it would have come from this separate hardware interface.
It actually like pulls data from elsewhere and puts it into the DSP as if it was coming from the disk drive. So it's very clever. There are some downsides, which is you lose, was it memory cards? Or was it, I don't remember what it was.
There are some compromises when you're doing everything in software. That's a fully like software fallback that somebody else has developed.
But our plan was, there's enough power if we have both PIOs going with all their communication, and then we dedicate one of the cores on the dual core 2040 to audio, buffer management, loading, decoding, and streaming. That's just enough. I mean, we're using almost every hardware capability on the chip except for the analog. So
you still get your fun, high quality audio track while you're playing certain games.
But just to the high level question, why the 2040? It was also a little bit of an exploration of, it looks like the hardware's capable. A lot of people seem to be doing clever things with it. I wonder if we can make the disk interface, as it's called, work with an RP2040. And it does, with room to spare.
That's super cool. That's super cool. All right, let's move on from talk of chips. As much as I could keep going down this rabbit hole myself, I'd like to. Your comment section is extremely vibrant. Let's take a dive into here now. Like people just from all over saying, "I love the Flippy Drive. I can't wait. I'm very excited for this release," and just people who are very upset about the fact that it's the worst game system. It's not, though. Okay, so lots of people asking this kind of question: is it possible to apply the Flippy Drive technology to other consoles and do something similar? For example, Dreamcast. There's a number of people asking variations on this question.
It goes back to what you were asking earlier, Helen, about how much reverse engineering does this take, right? And this isn't like a good first project. Let's say it like that, right? There is years and years of experience that Chris has in the embedded world, that I have in, some of the GameCube boot sequence and those kinds of things. So it takes a deep knowledge of the platform that you're going towards. And an ODE is purpose made for the system that it's made for. And Chris could probably expand a little bit more about.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of systems used variations on like PC hardware, like IDE drives and things like that to save development costs. Nintendo, to spite themselves, decided to do everything as custom as possible, pretty much everywhere. Like all the connectors are custom, all the like the analog, the digital ports, the controller ports. They went full tilt, full custom. And it's same thing with the digital or the disk interface, which is a custom protocol. It's fairly straightforward, but it doesn't look like other disk interfaces. So, it's not something you could pick up and apply to like a Dreamcast or a PlayStation or anything like that. You'd basically be starting over. Probably like 70-80+% of the design would have to be for that platform. And some of that's economies of scale. Like these companies know they're going to make millions of them, so they can kind of afford to optimize and tweak their design, as opposed to just saying, I'm going to buy, an off-the-shelf DVD drive and pay half the price of the system in DVD drives.
And I'm going to go back into the comments in a second, but I did just want to pick up on the concept of reverse engineering. And that's something that we've both mentioned a couple times now. And I wonder if you might explain that briefly to the audience who might not know what reverse engineering actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
reverse engineering is a very particular skill where you take sort of a finished product and you need to tease out details from something that doesn't have the thought process embedded in it of, I made this decision because of that. I decided to cut a corner here or load this data there. What we're doing is we're looking at the finished product and we're trying to tease out what those decisions might have been, where things might piece together. And in reverse, we're pretty capable of coming up with a picture of what they did in the forward direction, and abstracting out what the process looked like.
Yeah. Thank you for I always like to try and make sure that people are on the same page. That's cool. Okay, I've got a bunch of questions and I definitely want to ask about this. is about the cable. Can we talk about your cable, please? People are asking, how did you figure out the pass-through on the Flex?
Yeah,
Glad to hear and I've been looking. I love a bit of Flex PCB as well. Let me see if I can get it out.
I got one.
So you got one. All right, let's do the. You can do the beauty blogger trick. Oh yeah. Oh, you've got actual focus. Let me spotlight you.
Wow.
1 second. There we go. Look at that. Beautiful.
Look at Chris with their hardware focus. Incredible.
I know. It's putting me to shame.
Years of photography finally came to use.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. Talk us through your cable.
Yeah.
So
I love my job.
Stop holding
Tell me about your cables.
Yeah. So the cable was like an iterative thing. Our initial design, as part of the excuse of let's just hack something together, I got maybe 3 years ago, I built like a DIY injection molding machine for making plastic parts. And
Wait,
I was like,
what?
oh my God,
Hang on.
let's just.
That's really cool.
There's a kit. There's a kit.
Okay.
Not that I'm
Still
showing
cool.
their stuff.
Still cool.
But yeah, it's cool. Like you can 3D print molds with resin, and they survive a dozen injections maybe before they shatter into a bajillion pieces. Anyway, so I was thinking, these connectors are hard to find. I don't really want to commission the design with like a custom company. I mean, that's like tens of thousands of dollars, and you never know what you're going to get. So it's like, let's just make our own injection molded design. So we actually made the initial few revisions. And there's pictures somewhere of the original design.
I might have one on here.
Yeah, it has like this 2-part thing where 2 flexes come down, and then an injection molded piece fits in and wedges them in place.
Ooh,
and it worked. That was how we started the software development. And then the idea came along. It's like, well, can you keep the drive somehow? Like, can you pass through the drive signals? And that got me thinking, well, we're already wedging flexes into place on one side. What if we just have double-sided contacts?
I was able to find it. This is
the original injection molded.
Let me solo you. Hang on a second.
So part of that's 3D printed, and then the white part.
So the gray part is 3D printed. Then you've got your Flex PCB that you made, and then the white.
This is actually 2 Flex PCB.
2 flexes. That's right. 2 flexes. Contacts facing inward, and then that bottom part looks just like the connector and the GameCube proper. But that's an injection molded part because it has some very fine features on it. So it's that was the original design. Complicated. It wouldn't really be mass producible. And the idea was, well, if we already have double-sided printed circuit boards, Flex PCBs, let's have double-sided PCBs with contacts on one side that go to the drive and contacts on the other side that go to the cube. And you route them all to an external, the little Flex contact finger, so that you can have a board, a rigid board, that is either switching the drive signals directly to the cube, or it's interrupting the drive signals and passing new signals to the cube. So
this is not relay. This is muxing, which means that when it's passed through, it's fully directly connected.
Oh,
and that needs to be, there's a few signals there that are sort of bidirectional. So there is some trickery that goes on to make sure that they can be passed through. But there's 2 big operating modes, which is the normal mode, where you're using it as a disk drive emulator, and then kind of the pass-through mode, where you can put it in like a pure pass-through mode where you set it up, and then it's as if the disk drive is attached to the system. Nothing is changed from stock. All the software is running as is.
One very cool trick we were able to do is that we still listen in to the original disk drive while it's being passed through, sort of like sniffing or that kind of thing. So we can hear when it says certain commands. And one of the commands that we made was switch back to the Flippy Drive. I want to do stuff with the Flippy Drive again, which is cool thing we could do in software to allow you to get back to the enhanced experience.
Yeah, that's actually how the disk backup mode and kind of the enhanced pass-through mode works. Is we're handing off control to the drive. The drive is available for the software to do stuff like read contents of the disk off, and then you can send a special command that the Flippy Drive is listening for because it's snooping on all the traffic. That then turns off the drive, reconnects the Flippy Drive in a matter of microseconds. I mean, this is all electronic, so that you can switch back and forth between physical drive and drive emulator at will at high speed.
That's very cool. Are we going to be doing you're going to show us, we've seen one of the little prototypes before. We're going to have any, you're going to show us any more down cam stuff. If you got anything fun to show us, do you want to share some code with us? That's okay. I've got loads of questions if you don't, but I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no,
if you want to bring anything in, we've got.
I have a cube on the bench. I could install one. I've got some prototype stuff. I've got Ethernet. Live installations never turns out well, but I could swap over to that. I've got.
Why don't we
go back to Ethernet?
Yeah, we can talk about Ethernet. Ooh, look at this. Yum. Lovely.
So it's a very compact board. Chris has been doing PCB design for years, and they really figured out how to make the most use out of this. What is it? A 4-layer board or a 6-layer board?
It's a 6-layer board. Let me double check. At one point it was 8, and I squished it down to 6 to save cost.
Yeah.
I think it's 6.
Nice. The original prototype, while I'm still spotlighted, actually used the RP2040 Pico module.
Pico. Is that, did you design that board? Is that a breakout board you designed for it?
Yeah. Yes. And the breakout board has
one giant silver thing for?
Oh, that's an SD card.
That's a full-size SD card, like in a
camera. Oh my word.
That's so there's actually a fun thing with those boards. I wonder if I have one. Give me a second. Let me grab one.
No worries. While you grab something, I wanted to say that the first winner of our Flippy Drive giveaway has happened. So the question closest to the first timestamp I selected was from Gamer RC. So Gamer RC, you have won one of the 2 giveaway Flippy Drives. Now, I believe you can message either Chris or Trevor and they will sort you out with that. And their question is a good jumping off point as well, because we've had lots of these questions. Will there be a revision where you can access the microSD card from the back of the device? We've had a lot of questions about what's coming next, like what features and functionalities are you thinking about adding on in the future, this SD card, you know, with people talking about Bluetooth, so on. What's in the plans for the future?
Yeah, I'll let Chris find.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of things Flippy Drive related that are kind of coming. So the Ethernet module, which we have prototypes for. Ooh, focus.
Oh wait, let me just spotlight you. Sorry, show this. What is that?
So this is the Ethernet add-on,
which is currently available on Crowd Supply.
Yeah, which is part of the deluxe kit. This mounts, and there's pictures on the website of how this mounts, but this fits into a opening in the rear of the case inside the cube, which is why it's shaped this particular way so that it fits without hitting stuff. This attaches via flex, a shorter flex. This is keeps tracking my eyes and focusing on my face. Let me just cover my face.
Oh yeah, so exactly, the PT blogger trick.
Yeah, this attaches via a flex to the expansion port on the Flippy Drive, which is this little guy. Oh my god, the face tracking is finally annoying. Look at that. So yeah, that fits in the flex or in the connector, like so, and then it will detect when the Ethernet is attached, and then switch over to the Ethernet for network activity. So shorter flex in the production version, but it works with the longer flex. There's no signal integrity problems. So that's kind of the next thing. That's available right now as part of the deluxe kit, and will be available separately later, which is a first thing. Trevor's working on all sorts of fun Bluetooth related stuff.
Tell me about the Bluetooth. Bluetooth is always my nemesis. What are you doing Bluetooth?
Certainly. So we ended up using the original ESP32 module, which supports classic Bluetooth as well as Bluetooth Low Energy.
Interesting.
One of the big reasons to do that is because if you remember from this generation, all of the original Bluetooth things were using that old protocol, the Wiimote, the DualShock controller, etc. Right? Yeah. So we're actually open to be able to use a lot of controllers, even some of the newer ones. Yeah, Chris. This is all through software. The Flippy Drive has the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capability on board. It's mutually exclusive. So if you're using our Wi-Fi capability, which allows you to actually load your files from your computer, like over your local network, you can't use that mode when you're using Bluetooth because they can't share the radio well enough to do the high throughput on both.
Okay.
I think that's all for the Bluetooth. It's going to support many types of controllers, anything that comes up as a gamepad, and allow you to map your buttons however you like. And currently I'm planning on supporting 4 controllers.
That was my follow-up question was about, you just answered it, from Irving Sanchez saying, would it be compatible with the Laser Bear retro adapter that helps with Bluetooth controller connection? So you did say we'll be able to connect up to 4 Bluetooth controllers, so that's cool.
Yeah, there's already something available. That's like Laser Bear. The name brand for it is Blue Retro, which are hardware devices that allow you to extend these old consoles with the ability to connect to Bluetooth. Luckily, we have the Bluetooth on board, which lets us add this as an extra little software feature.
Yeah, very cool. I wanted to spend a minute to talk about the community response to the project. I know we touched on this a little bit earlier, but it's been pretty wild. I think we can definitely say that you've fulfilled and exceeded your ambitions for this project. And as you can see, there's 170 people here on the stream, despite the fact we only announced it yesterday. So you obviously have a community that is really appreciative of what you're doing. I would like to know, was it a happy accident? Where have you been, where have you been trying to find and build community, and how are you controlling it? I think, how's it been?
I wouldn't say controlling. So we always had plans for production and things like that for kind of a high growth scenario. Like, even though I didn't think it was going to do really well, I guess it was just too many years of managing projects and stuff for work is, you always have plans for what you do in case things exceed expectations. But the community aspect is very surprising. Like, I did not expect so many people to be so passionate about the GameCube. I mean, online debates still rage about that generation of console, and it's like people are always being quite mean to folks who love the GameCube. So no, I mean, it has been overwhelming, and part of what we wanted to do from a community perspective is just kind of open up spaces where people can chat and ask questions. It focused very much on just like making sure people will be able to ask questions, will be able to answer them. And there's a little nascent space kind of building around that, which is neat. I mean, people are contributing artwork and like other stuff, and it's incredible to watch all of these little community contributed follow-ons, like disc icons and logos and other things I never would have expected.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my follow-up question around that, around community contributions, because of course, like, you have got quite a strong aspect of open source to your work, and many people that I talk to in the hardware space do talk about that the open source nature of it gets lots of software contributions. And I was wondering, have you managed, is that something that you're experiencing with this larger community, or are these people mostly people who are interested in using it, or are there people who are interested in contributing to the technical side of things as well?
Yeah, there's 2 layers to it, because we have firmware, and the firmware is currently closed because the device would get cloned immediately, right?
Yeah.
But that's definitely on the table in the long run. I
do want to make a comment. Like, our original design intent was absolutely open source, but we were warned by many people, and I have unfortunately seen it, where a lot of people work like on their passion projects and work on these things, and they get cloned before they're even released for some of these projects. There have been some people in the community that I have seen destroyed by their stuff getting cloned before they were even done with it.
This has just happened with another GameCube project.
Oh, really? Which one?
Not to be too forward, but this ETH2GC, which an incredible Polish engineer, WebHDX, was working on. Another community member used similar work because it was mostly a concept that a lot of people were working with. They published design on GitHub, and then suddenly it's being sold for $16 before the person who originally developed it could get their sales up.
Yeah, and there's nothing untoward or anything about. I mean, these were all contributed with those licenses. Like, this is all above board. for this, it was really important that we be able to actually make it and produce it and like see it through without getting swept up by some of these mostly like, larger overseas companies that kind of watch these projects and then mass produce versions before the original designers finish. So we've made, a lot of our previous work has all been just floating around GitHub, things like that. It's not about control. It's not about telling people what they can or cannot do. We will absolutely be open sourcing all this stuff at some point,
including the firmure.
Exactly when. But yeah, and the firmware. Like it's all fairly straightforward.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I think it's allowable to retain your open source credibility, but release your files after you've gone to market.
Yes. And we have been contributing.
And at that point, yeah, go on.
So some of our software changes that we made for like Swiss and things like that were contributed back to their original projects and similar.
And on the topic of the original question, like what has come in our direction from the software side of things that run on the GameCube, we've been open everything. Just about everything that we have made is on our GitHub right now. And we have incredible engineers that we're working with. Extremes, who is a titan of the GameCube space. Another collaborator, EmuKid, who is one of the original people in the homebrew space. We're working with really great folks on that side. The homebrew community for this console is really like becoming more active after a long time.
That's really awesome. Do you feel like despite the fact that some parts you're currently keeping proprietary right now, but you are still contributing a lot to open source and open source hardware, so why? What's your motivation? Like, what is it? Is it that you feel like you owe a community that you are using these tools, or do you feel, what's your motivation for moving towards the open source hardware genre?
I mean, I think part of it is just open by default, unless there's a reason not to be, because so many organizations keep everything closed source to themselves, dead products, things they no longer make, companies that go under who then, get their stuff bought on pennies by the dollar by some company that's never going to release it. It's like, what's the point? You're not protecting anything. You're just preventing people from using it. So the way I've always worked on my projects, is things are open by default. Unless, there's like a really compelling reason why it shouldn't be. Because why not? Like, especially if it's something that you're not producing yourself, if it's just like a software project or a tool or utility or something, it's like, it doesn't harm me to just put it on GitHub and say, hey, look, here's a thing, you can use it if you want. It's crazy that the default for most projects seems to be keep it as locked down as possible. And true. I understand some of it. Like when you're making a thing, it's very hard to say, I'm just going to hope that nobody else is going to jump in and produce 1 million of them, and I could never even like sell anything that I've worked on. Like, I understand people put a lot of effort into things and they want to see it through, and that makes sense for active stuff. What I find it indefensible for things that are abandoned, I guess is the way to put it.
I agree with you. Yeah, particularly, particularly with the smaller creators. Yeah,
exactly. It's like, why not? And there are a lot of things in the GameCube world, like the Xeno disk drive modification, which was a firmware hack with some hardware that actually changes the firmware on the disk drive itself. And that was closed source for a while. It got cloned. And then after they stopped producing it, all the design files and everything were published, because why not? Like,
I agree.
Contributes
That's cool.
to everyone's understanding, and it's a really cool thing that you can now modify. So,
well, thank you for explaining, and that was I feel similarly to you, so that was cool to talk about. All right, so we've got another strain here. We've got someone asking, what resources would you recommend to somebody who wants to explore hardware hacking? And this is also a thread in a number of comments, people who are intrigued by your methods and wish to know more. So would you like to speak on this a little?
Yeah,
I also have some recommendations. But
all the things that I learned, I will say, all the things that I learned doing my own projects. So pick a project that's too big, pick a project that's too complicated, pick a project that's not for beginners that you're really passionate about, and attack it until one of you is dead. Basically, like that's kind of what I did. I was like, I want to learn FPGAs. It's like I'm going to make a hard drive.
Interesting example.
Like,
how did you do? Did you use the Open FPGA when somebody Open FPGA tool chains, or did you go in to FPGAs like the old-fashioned way? Yeah, okay. So the olden days of FPGAs.
Vivaldi horror show.
I mean, it was ISC 14s. So it's not.
I'm sorry for your lot. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it was that kind of thing where it's like I'm going to pick a project that's way beyond beginner, and this is going to be the thing that I learn with, and it ended up working. I mean, it took me longer than it would somebody who knew what they were doing, but the key is to pick something ambitious that you're excited about. Nobody wants to. I mean, I appreciate people want to learn and they want to take it one step at a time and they want to make the light blink before they try doing something else. But I would say for maximum learning, pick something that is out there, because there are resources online. There's a lot of things now with the advent of all of everyone's favorite large language models that can like talk you through some of the basics to really help you get off the ground. There's no reason to start with beginner projects, I think, for anything.
Unless you want to.
Unless that's your style, unless you prefer to take things one step at a time and to like build up knowledge.
It's a tough thing to do because it's tough to generate
what you want. Yeah, go on, Karen.
No, please. You want to what?
I mean, it depends on what you want to achieve with your hardware hacking, because the hardware hacking is such a broad term. Is this people do you want to make kinetic sculptures, or do you want to make your own boards, or do you want to learn how to do physical attacks? All of these things would be considered hardware hacking. My piece of advice would be go to some hardware hacking events and figure out what genre of things you like. Like if you're in the US, like there's Hope, Hackers on Planet Earth, or Teardown, which I run in Portland every year. SuperCon's a great one by Hackaday as well. Flirting with some genres of hardware hacking is a good, if you're feeling directionless, it's a good way to find. And any of the Chaos Computing Club events, affiliated events in Europe. I mean, CCC Congress, is every hacker should do that once in their lifetime. But yeah, basically, and hackerspaces, of course, are a great place to start flirting with these things. But I definitely agree with you in terms of the actual learning, like project-based learning is where it's at, and like pushing yourself further is definitely where it's at. But also, it might be helpful to find out what really tickles your fancy out there.
Yeah, and see what other people are doing and see how they do it. So a great example of this is the the Game Boy. The ROM for the Game Boy was dumped by someone creating a clock glitching kind of interceptor that was able to kind of feed really fast clocks to the main CPU. So it kind of skipped over all the security instructions and then we're able to read out the ROM. And that technique, when I read about it, I had never seen it before. And I used it later to dump the disk head controller firmware for the Nintendo 64 disk drive. I used the same technique where it was like, let me just take the chip off the board, put it on a new board, use an FPGA, which I now know how to use, and like glitch the clock a bunch of times and see if I can get it to skip.
The first time you told me about this, I was floored. I was like,
I can't believe it worked. It worked the first time. Yeah. Like it actually worked the first time. It took like 2 days.
Way.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I was like, I learned this technique from 10 years before from somebody dumping firmware for a Game Boy. And that's the kind of thing where even though I had no need or interest at the time to do that type of reverse engineering, I was still just like consuming all of the knowledge I could about what people were working on and how they were working on it. So that one day it was like, I remember this technique. Let me try.
You need to have the drive and the gumption to actually do something about it. A lot of us will sit and join these blogs. We'll get these notifications. We'll read Hackaday all day long. But you gotta,
Well, it can be.
You gotta sit down and do.
So accurate. It can be overwhelming where people are operating in the clouds, kind of thing, and there will always be someone who's operating so much more advanced than you are. Like that never changes.
Yeah.
So. It can be intimidating where it's like, I don't know what to do. It feels like what I've done has already been done before. That's why exploring the things you're interested in and finding, I guess, an intersection of like a technique that you want to try with a hobby that might be unrelated. I mean, you can really kind of pull from different tools and say, I want to make a household device that does X with a Y type microcontroller. Because I haven't done it before.
Yeah. Okay. Simple question. What's the best cube color? That's a quick one.
Oh, indigo. I'm going to vote for indigo.
Yeah, I have to agree. The grape color of the classic, it's the classic GameCube color that shows up in all the TV shows and all the shirts. It's the color. I mean, I do really like the teal of the NR reader, but that's also just a very pretty color. But indigo is iconic.
I still need to decide if I want to get my GameCube tattoo as just line art or with the indigo color on it.
I'm a line art fan.
Yeah,
indigo is a great color. Like it is. I won't fault Nintendo for their bold industrial design. It's true, right? The PlayStation 2, for lack of a better word, looks like a flattened shoebox, and the GameCube is this beautiful. It's got subtle curves that you can't really tell that the panels are actually curved, and it's not quite a cube, but it looks like a cube and kind of sitting on the bench. Like
it's a statement of sorts.
Yes, industrial design. That's the term. And there are people who do that, like industrial designers. This is what they do. They design products.
A job.
Helen, some people call it the lunchbox console.
Yeah,
I love a lunchbox.
Yeah, it is great respect for the designer. Probably the best physical console design from an industrial design perspective, in my opinion.
I love a lunchbox. We do lunchboxes every year at Teardown. They're what we give away our swag in. And I find them I find it so enjoyable.
Put the two concepts together, make a e-ink lunchbox.
Yeah. Why not?
This is the cool thing. Like people, there is so much need for people designing products that look good too. I think most people ignore that part. And this is where now with 3D printing and online turnkey production of stuff, you could learn CAD and learn mechanical design and make really cool packaging and really slick physical designs of things. And there's not a lot of that goes on in the kind of hacking community. It's very, very electronics focused. And I think there's definitely need for more of the artisanal
that is one of our principles. Design, where that is one of our principles. Yeah,
things should look as good as they behave. Things should look as good as they perform.
Take Cube Boot as an example, which is our interface. We were not happy with some homebrew utility that just lists a bunch of text on the screen, right?
Yeah.
It's hacking isn't just about getting a task done. It's also about making something good, something that feels like it's all the way done, right?
Yeah.
And matching the system. That was the big thing. The GameCube menu is actually, from modern UX perspective, it's pretty clunky, but it was the first menu really that was produced, unless you count the disk drive, the N64 disk drive. So it was the first system with the built-in menu Nintendo made. So it's got some unusual concepts, and love it or hate it, the point was to match the GameCube. It's internal mod. You don't see it.
Yeah.
The menu, it injects code into the existing menu. It uses the software that's on the cube. It just adds new features to it with a really complex software injection framework that Trevor wrote. So
lots of love for handles.
It looks like it could have been a GameCube menu 2.0, and that was the point.
That's what we're getting in the chat. Love for the handles.
Lots of love for handles. Lots of love for handles, and a lot of shout outs for the Game Sphere as well.
The Game Sphere, I like that.
The Game
you can just have a little
Sphere.
Clamshell that just opens up, and it's got the disk drive.
Like a Polly Pocket.
That'd be really cool.
That actually would be great.
Yeah.
I love it.
You could have little lander legs that come out.
That would be adorable.
That would be really cool. Yeah. Actually, that is a cool concept.
All right. Well, actually, we've had the second winner of the Flippy Drive today. Is somebody who commented at 12:44. Jimmy Huck says the community response is awesome. I am glad I found it and didn't miss it. Jimmy, you have won a Flippy Drive. So please do get in touch with Chris and Trevor on Discord. Is that the best way?
Yes, that would be perfect.
Okay. Get in touch with them on Discord to claim your prize. Congratulations, Jimmy. Thank you for playing. Okay, yeah, we've got a game dodecahedron. I love that one too.
Obviously pyramids, right? Pyramids are so mysterious and dangerous. It's got to be a game pyramid.
I love it. I love it. People are saying that they love the UI. Thank you for keeping it in style with Cube. The GameCube is my favorite system, second to Dreamcast. That's fantastic. Lots of love here in the comments for you.
I think the Dreamcast also didn't perform incredibly well in its original market.
Is that so? Oh my word. Okay, there's so many comments. I'm trying to scroll through looking for questions. Did you have any
the GameCube menu? Because
people really
remember
love
being frustrated with it as a child. Because I mean, I came from the PC world. Like I was into PC since I was like, I don't know, 1. So it's just like, what is this? Like this is completely unusable, says my Windows 98 brain.
Oh dear, funny. Like, I love the Lynch box. What is your favorite GC color and why is it indigo? I love it.
And why is it indigo? Yeah, answer the question as you're asking it.
Oh, then we've got a oh yeah, was there ever an answer on whether the Furch bus systems would ship before the crowd campaigns?
Yeah, so we're actually working on them right now. They should ship relatively soon. There's a lot of like working with Crowd Supply's parent Mouser. There's a lot of requirements for packaging, labeling, compliance stuff. So we're in like full paperwork mode right now. So once that's all squared away,
there's a lot of paperwork that comes with being a Mouser supplier.
Yeah, we have the units in hand. We have all the parts. We have all the packaging. Like they're ready to go. We just need to get everyone on the same page. I mean, typically, I'm not going to fault Crowd Supply. Typically, there's some delay, right? The campaign's finished. There's delay while people are working on things, and then you ship them. So we're kind of like pushing in an unusual way to say, can we do this now as opposed to later? So that's all.
Yes.
But soon.
Yeah, I mean, we're there's always a little bit of there's paperwork involved with a behemoth like Mouser.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah, because I mean,
yes, it's true.
Player, so it's very formal.
Yes, we are. They are our parent company. We were a startup. We were purchased by my Mouser Electronics many years ago. Not many years ago, but a few years ago now. So they do all the distribution for all of our campaigns, and that's why we do a big order as well. So yeah. Mouser is our parent company. There we go. Not everybody knows that.
It says it on your Wikipedia page, so I would imagine it was public knowledge.
So
yeah, but not everybody looks at Wikipedia for every single thing. People. Okay, that's very exciting. Cool. Is there anything? Okay, we are now only 12 minutes out from the end of the stream. Did you want to do any live demo? Did you want to attempt any live demos, or show any code, or give a tour of anything, or promote something else? Now is a good time to switch.
Go to town, Chris.
That's probably not so good.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't have time to install. I was going to potentially try a live install, but like 10 minutes is probably pushing it for a live install. So
we are going to have people repping us at Portland Retro Expo this weekend.
Oh yes, including me. In fact, I'll be going to the Portland Retro. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's tomorrow, isn't it? Yeah, I'm going, and my colleague Brendan is going, and I think my colleague Kat is going as well. So I'll be at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo with my sticker stash. I'll be with some of your stickers in there, and I'll give them away as well. So yeah. So, and Jay Spears asked, has any other device on Crowd Supply taken down the site as bad as FlippyDrive did? The answer is no. No, certainly not in my time. We were all like, what has happened? Yeah, we got, that was an interesting few hours for us. Oh,
yeah,
well,
welcome to the gamers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember asking that question, like, okay, well, you've never had problems before. Are you sure?
Yeah. I mean, listen, we've had like very popular things before, but I think the problem is
you forget the audience
bots.
Of the people.
There were bots. Yes.
And never underestimate the power of thousands of people hitting F5 in the same
not at all.
window.
And yes, it will be possible to buy the Flippy Drive after the campaign. Crowd Supply continues stocking. That's kind of part of the point of us. And they will also be stocked by our parent company, Mauser Electronics. So you'll be able to have them anywhere in the world that Mauser ships with next day delivery. So that's part of the perks of doing a Crowd Supply with us. But yes, so you can, you'll definitely be able to, we'll be continuing to place purchase orders with these fine folks, as long as they'll continue supplying us with hardware. We'll keep buying it and selling it to you. So yeah, definitely, that'll be fun. Any plans for separate backplate colors or separate Ethernet add-ons after the campaign?
Oh,
Yeah, so
I've totally forgotten to add on the question of other things that we'll be making. Completely unrelated to this question, we are going to be coming out with a USB add-on, which goes into the same port as where the Ethernet add-on goes. So if you want to
USB-C or?
I think that's going to be the best port to do, because it's technically USB-A, right? It can handle whatever goes into as a device. So something like a flash drive or a hard drive, anything that shows up as a drive on your desktop, right? But USB-C is probably going to be the connector.
Are you going to do power delivery through it as well, or is it just data?
It can't handle the power delivery. There are other ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. You could conceive of something that could do both, but
yeah,
that's a possibility. I guess it depends. But no, on the backplate thing, just to cover that.
Yes,
we settled on black for the backplate, and that is because in my stack of GameCubes that I got in a crate from Japan, no two are the same color, except the silver ones. The silver ones are all about the same color, but all the indigos, they are all sensitive and reactive to UV. So depending on how much daylight they got, they're all slightly different shades of purple. And the orange ones are all slightly different shades of orange. Color matching that would be impossible.
Yeah. And is it so? Your injection molding these?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And would it be possible for an end user to create their own? Could they take that off and print something with an STL file?
Well, exactly. We're releasing that design once we're sure that it fits, so that people can 3D print in their own colors and stuff. I just, injection molding again has sort of how this started a little bit with injection molding. It's a lot less expensive now than it used to be by an order of magnitude. So, you can get molds made and get things injection molded for thousands of dollars, not tens or hundreds of thousands, if you're designing something simple. So the thinking was, I don't really like FDM part finishes. I don't like layer lines. Resin printing is too expensive.
Yeah.
So just do it the old fashioned. I mean, injection molding will get you.
I know, isn't that funny?
Yeah, it gets you. Injection molding is like
it is old fashioned now, but yeah,
the pinnacle. It's the pinnacle of part creation from a resolution perspective too. I mean, you can create the tiniest features that you can machine. So yeah, injection molding is the way to go. But black, so that it matches. Even Nintendo, I would say, at the end of the GameCube's life, Nintendo was only making black rear I/O panels, even for colored GameCubes. They were all black.
What type of plastic did they use?
I think they're all ABS. They look and feel like ABS.
Which is, the most liable thing to UV was that front panel that is like a light gray.
Yeah, it's the dyes. It's just dye. Very few dyes hold up to UV well.
It also is porous with the surface finish, which means that in households where people smoke, they get this deep yellow orange color from nicotine stains.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's like the bromine content and stuff from the fire retardant chemicals and things like that. You can use Retro Bright. That's the classic. Peroxide.
I actually have a bottle of it here.
Yeah, peroxide plus UV can help.
What have you got on your bottle?
I don't know, undo the damage to the bromides, but they
Retro
do
Bright.
well, so.
Nice.
It works treat on GameCube.
Yeah, it will weaken plastic though, so just watch out.
Oh, really? That's good to know. I've had a bunch of questions about shipping dates and people saying that they're November gang, September gang. What's the deal with shipping dates? How are you being pessimistic? Are these relatively realistic, or do you anticipate any issues?
The dates should be pessimistic. I think the January dates are a good estimate because we don't actually get the funds for those units for a while, until after the campaign closes, plus
Yeah.
the time it takes to like move all the money. So we actually cannot start the batch of 5,000 until probably the end of October. Like we can't even get started until then. So the January dates for those are probably good. April is likely a conservative estimate. We actually added a whole month because of Chinese New Year, which is almost certainly not the case. These are, uses Chinese components, but they're primarily made in the United States. So we don't really anticipate huge slowdowns for April. It's just a conservative estimate, especially because the volumes are larger in that time frame. So it also gives us more time to do the manufacturing, the packaging, the kitting, and all that stuff.
And where are you doing the manufacturing and the kitting?
So we're handling them right now because the volumes are fine. We have a handle on some space if we need it, and plenty of labor if we need it.
Yeah. Okay, good.
But the volumes aren't quite so huge that it's not possible. I mean, we've spent a lot of time, since this is the kind of thing I've done on my day job, having fully like automated programming and testing, like programming, fusing, testing. It's all done just by plugging the device into the programmer and in parallel. So you can just plug, unplug. Pretty much as fast as you can do that. So actually programming, laser marking is fully automated. You just put it in, hit enter, put it in, hit enter. You can chew through hundreds of these in an hour. It's just the packaging, actually, the part where you have to like put it in the bag, and that costs money no matter where you go. So we're
of course
doing
it
that.
does.
Yeah.
If you guys want a real treat, definitely go on like Twitter. Definitely go on Hackaday. Look at some of the programming rigs or jigs.
Oh, I love those. Yeah.
So fun.
They're super fun. I always love seeing it, and they're so individualistic as well. I really like seeing people's jigs. Yeah, I mean, it's just things are unstable at the moment with the tariffs coming in from China, and they've just removed they're removing the de minimis tariff exemption as well, which is the under $800 you don't have to pay the tariff on goods being imported, right? So I'm just wondering how you're thinking about navigating that, or are you not really that reliant on China?
Yeah, so I mean, the parts come from China. I mean, almost all these parts, a lot of the parts are made in China. The part availability is actually the biggest problem, not the tariffs, because
interesting.
The devices, once they're assembled, are considered video game appliance accessories or add-ons, which is under a different tariff code that is not given high costs. I guess somebody didn't want to have to explain to their constituents why the PS5 is now $1,200 instead of $1,000. Like instead of the 25% tariffs on a lot of stuff, the video game devices and accessories are like 1% or something. It's some low percentage because someone did not want to anger voters making their video games and consoles more expensive, which actually works out for us because the same tariff code. There's tariffs built into the price of the parts, but that's.
I mean, if
we
it's
have
just
some margins
parts,
built
though,
in
it's it's when you've got the COO for the whole device as China that you start to get a huge chunk taken over your profits.
So the device's country of origin is the United States under the rules.
Good.
So
that makes it easier.
That makes it easier for other people once they are assembled, programmed, all that stuff. That's all done here in the United States.
Now, I've asked a few.
Oh, not the big sticker. Yeah, those are promo
I've got some
stickers.
of those. I got the big sticker. I've got a few of these in my giveaway. I'll take some. Wait, you've got what? You've got what?
Oh my god.
That is
posters.
That is
I want to put that on my car.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we could get a big
suddenly
sticker
feel less special.
No, so what's happening is let me see. I have my box of them. Hold
on. Did we send you any of the holographic ones?
I don't know. I found
there's a whole meta. It's like 35% green, 35% yellow, 10% red, and then like 1% are shiny. Because
no way! Oh, that's delightful.
For the deluxe kits, not the standard ones, because it costs money to make these.
They're expensive. Let me just spotlight you.
Chris, the beauty blogger,
is a case badge. And it actually is intended to fit. Let me put one on a GameCube. It's intended to fit on a GameCube.
Wait, hang on.
It's fine.
Wait, right. You're spotlighted now.
It will go right there. So if you've ever done PC gaming, you know that people like to put their Intel, NVIDIA, whatever on
There you go.
on the front. Actually, AMD used to be ATI.
Oh, look, that's so cute.
Yep.
Love it. Oh, that's adorable.
So it's very similar to your Intel Inside.
Yep. I mean, I didn't put it on very well, so.
Beautiful. I've got a whole bunch. I'm never going to be able to find them. I've got a massive. These are all my. This is my sticker collection that I take around.
Awesome.
So I'll never find them, but I've got a whole bunch of like.
Art Twitter gave me all sorts of feedback on the sticker
little
composition. So these are high resolution printed at 2400 dpi with a UV resistant clear coat layer on top of the sticker. So these should actually be sun stable and a few other things. So these are premium stickers.
What do you folks like to put stickers on? I go for water bottle.
I put mine. I've got stickers all over my suitcase. But I travel a lot for work, so it's useful to. Yeah, I've got them all over. But then, I just collect them in this lunchbox really now. I've got them from all over, and I just take them. I run a hardware happy hour in Portland every month, and I take them along, and people do sticker swaps. They're a currency. They're a form of currency.
I was walking in Brooklyn yesterday, and I saw a bike that somebody had gotten a hold of every possible Linux sticker. It was like the middle was like
bicycle,
Debian.
Did you say?
A bicycle, yeah. The middle was Debian. On the handlebars, Arch. In the middle, Vim. Down the middle.
Vim.
Vim is
Every
a distribution. Emacs is a distribution.
Oh gosh.
So funny. That's so funny. I love it. All right, we've gone over an hour already, and I know you need to get off to do things with your day, so I won't keep you any further. But before we leave, where can people keep up to date with you? Discord servers or GitHub repos or whatever. Now's the time to tell the people where to find you.
Yeah, so we've got the Discord server. We have our individual Twitters that link all over the place. The GitHub for our organization, I guess, has repos that have things in it. I mean, that's more technical info stuff. The website, you can go to FlippyDrive.com kind of thing. That's where we had the original pages and the links to crowd supply, and then links to the documentation, links to the support pages. You can ask questions anywhere in those things. That all works.
Yeah, FlippyDrive is like FlippyDrive.com will take you to our actual website, which is the team name, Team Off Broadway. So that's the name of our company.
Nice. Cool. Anything else you want to say before we say adieu to the delightful? Yeah, people are really going a bit wild over the stickers. People are demanding that you sell them.
I mean, we could. Yeah, they're not expensive to make, so we could. I mean, we can't really fit them in the with the budget for the
not this time.
The deluxe kit. Yeah, we'll have them in the deluxe kit. So if you have a deluxe kit, don't have to worry about that. But we'll have them. I mean, it's just going to be for later for a few dollars, I think. Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Just kind of an add-on.
2.
Yeah.
Just stickers.
Just stickers.
Literally just stickers. No new functionality.
We get to assemble the PCB by putting stickers in the right spot on the board.
That would be horrible.
Yeah, actually, like paint by number.
Yeah.
If you've seen, you can actually get circuit stickers. You use that stuff called Z-tape, which is electrically conductive on the Z-axis. That stuff is really cool. I nearly swore there on stream because I actually think it's really cool. It's just tape, right? I love it. Anyway, GQuee did these cool circuit stickers. So, yeah.
Oh my God, was that a question about the RP2350?
Well, thank you.
I know, right?
2350. RP2350 when Raspberry Pi fixes the RP2350.
Yeah.
Silicon bugs and I don't get along.
I sip some tea there and make no comment.
Is the sun going down or is Chris throwing shade? Thank you so much for hosting us. This was very fun.
Thank you so much for coming. Like, I am on board at last minute. It was an impromptu stream, but it's been an absolute delight to have you. An hour has flown by. Thank you for sharing so much with us and your community, and thank you for generously offering those 2 Flippy Drives to the community for free as well. So yeah, thank you very much. And hopefully we'll have you on stream again, maybe once you're delivered or delivering, so that people can come and ask their questions.
Yeah,
Sure.
And before that, Gamer RC and Jimmy Hux, we will talk to you about the giveaway.
All right. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us and keeping us company and saying really nice things on stream, bigging us up and gassing up the Flippy Drive people. Good job. I will see you again. I think I'm here next week talking to the folks who made Alexa, who made Thunderscope, I believe is my next interview, which is a software-defined oscilloscope, for lack of a better way of describing it, that uses the Thunderbolt connection protocol. So very cool. All right, everybody, have a fantastic afternoon or whatever time it is in your particular time zone. And thanks again to the Flippy Drive team for joining us. I will see you again next week or in the future. All right, bye.
See ya.